Welcome to Shelf Life, the monthly series where I look back at games I covered 6 or 7 months ago and let you know whether they're still in my collection. And last September, September 2023, was a busy month. Most months are busy these days, but I covered a whole bunch of games, 4 crowdfunding, and 7 or 8 retail releases. So let's see which of them had shelf life. So starting with the crowdfunding corner, we have Dragon Eclipse from Awakened Realms. This is a narrative adventure game with a Pokemon kind of battle system. And this one was my favorite crowdfunding game of the month. I really enjoyed it. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if I'll be covering it on the channel at all when it's finally finished, because since Awakened Realms is clearly doubling down on their use of AI art, and I'm still waiting to find out how much of it is generative, scraping other artists' work without permission, I'm not sure if I'll be covering it. But I still really enjoy the gameplay, so yeah, I guess we'll see. Next, we have Battle Card by my friend David Thompson. This is a nice, quick little war game with dice representing your troops, and they're very quick scenarios. I think there were 4 total in the crowdfunding campaign. I had a lot of fun with this one. Clearly, it doesn't have a ton of staying power. It's not like I'm going to play these 50 times, but it's also super cheap, and I like the design. I like that. As you see here, you can play it on an iPad if you don't want to print it all out. That is Battle Card, certainly a good one for that month. Then we had a combo of games whose solo modes I covered. Sirens was first, and this one's kind of a cool claim to fame is that after you put together all the cards you're seeing here, you can scan them with an app and it'll play the music you've created. This game was fine, though. I didn't like this one as much as the second one, which is this one, Defrag, a game where you're putting down these cards and trying to rotate them and place them to have the right icons uppermost, and then you score a bunch of points based on that. This is a pretty fun optimization puzzle and kind of placement pattern puzzle, and I enjoyed this one quite a bit. That's Defrag. And then the last preview I did for September was for the Pandora content for Hoplomachus, Victorum, and Hoplomachus Remastered. I have called the Hoplomachus game, so I'm not keeping this expansion either, but my big question, and I couldn't quite tell if this was the case from what they sent me. My big question is whether this will fix for me the Titan mode in Remastered, because I found that mode a little bit broken and underwhelming. So I hope that is the case, because I do like the Hoplomachus system, but all the new content for Victorum looked awesome. So certainly I think this is still worth it for Hoplomachus fans, but I no longer own it, so I guess I won't be covering this in the future. Now getting to retail games, first is the second release in the newest Descent series, Legends of the Dark, The Betrayer's War. And I wasn't the hugest fan of Legends of the Dark in general, the way the app was used, the combat, the entire stamina flipping system. None of those really worked that well for me. And The Betrayer's War is just more of the same, and in some ways it actually doubles down on things I didn't enjoy. Like, they have way more terrain to deal with, so it feels more fiddly to set things up and such. So yeah, this is definitely not a keep for me. It wasn't to begin with, but I did want to cover the new content to at least show people if they might be interested in it. So that's a call. Next, we have Hegemony. This is a game I very much enjoyed. It models different classes, like the working class and middle class and capitalists in an economy, and kind of the ways they intersect and affect each other. I thought the competitive play was great, but unfortunately my competitive group didn't love it that much. The solo play, on the other hand, was okay. The balance wasn't quite right. The AI wasn't tough enough. And then when you did the more advanced AI, it was onerous, at least for me, to run their actions and figure out what they were going to do. So since I couldn't really see me playing this solo or competitive, this was a call, but I do enjoy, again, the competitive play quite a bit if you have a group that'll play it. Next up is The Witcher: The Old World. This is a overland adventure game with a competitive and solo mode. And there's another one that my competitive group didn't love. It does have a lot of downtime if you're playing with 3 or more players, which is not ideal. The solo is better, but they only sent me the base game. And from what I've read online, the base game's fine. I do like the combat system. It's like a simplified Awakened Realms, Tainted Grail card-based combat system. But yes, from what I've read online, it seems like you really need some expansions, including one that might still be crowdfunding exclusive, to actually make the solo better and to make the co-op an option. And I hate that. I hate that they're making you pay like hundreds of dollars just to be able to play the game in like the best way. They kind of cut out all the best content and made it expansions, so the base game is kind of underwhelming. So yeah, I can't recommend it that much for this unless you can find like the whole package for a cheap enough price. So that's The Witcher: The Old World, another call. Next up is Tainted Grail, Kings of Ruin. Speaking of Tainted Grail, it's funny that I covered Witcher and this in the same month. This is a huge improvement for me over the Tainted Grail system. They got rid of so much of the grind. It has a really engaging story. Now again, Awakened Realms is in sort of a weird place for me right now. I'm not sure if I'm going to cover any more of their stuff until they're a bit more transparent about how they're actually using AI art. Their first statement, at least for me, was not detailed enough. But I do love this game, and, crud, maybe there's AI art in here too. I don't know. I'm not going to feature it anymore on the channel. I'm not going to do another playthrough of it. But at least for my own personal playing, I really like this one. I want to show it to my game group. And so, yeah, Tainted Grail, Kings of Ruin is my first keep for the month. Man, holy crud, September was Awakened Realms month, wasn't it? Because next is Tamashii. I thought this was a very solid cyberpunk sort of sci-fi adventure game. I liked the pattern placement. It's not nearly as good as something like Bullet, but as a quick thing that went along with the adventure game play, I thought it was nice. Again, Awakened Realms, I'm saying it over and over again. I'm not sure how I feel about them right now. But I thought this was a very solid game if you're into sort of the cyberpunk theme or into some quick adventure stuff. These scenarios were nicely varied. So that is Tamashii. I did end up calling it after I beat the entire campaign, but clearly I liked it enough to play all of that, so that's a good sign. Next up was the White Castle. I covered the solo mode of this Euro game, and I thought the actual competitive gameplay was pretty fun. I guess that's a refrain for this month. I liked the little dice placement puzzle and the way your stuff built up. I did not enjoy the solo play. It felt completely unbalanced in a ridiculous way. And I think looking online, that's kind of been borne out. Sometimes when I make those judgment calls before a lot of people play it, it just turns out that I'm terrible at the game. But yeah, so there are easy ways to fix the solo. The easiest one is just to not have the AI take double action sometimes. But whatever, it had already kind of soured me, and I don't tend to keep solo Euros unless my competitive group is going to love them, and this one didn't seem up their alley that much. So this was another call. Next is Deep Rock Galactic, and I almost kept this one. I did enjoy the core gameplay loop of it. I thought the dice rolling combat was a lot of fun. But the game did get a bit repetitive at higher player counts. The downtime bothered me, and my kids, although they did kind of enjoy it, weren't requesting it as much as other games. So since it's so huge and I could get a decent price for it after I had already bought it from somebody else, this seemed like a pretty clear cull for me. But still, great game. I think a lot of people will enjoy this one, Deep Rock Galactic. And then finally, we have Final Girl. This is the last one, and I cover the North Pole Nightmare in September, which was a sort of standalone release. I thought it was fine. Not my favorite set, not the worst. It was a pretty fun little take on like a sort of Krampus-y, Christmas nightmare kind of thing. And I still enjoy Final Girl quite a bit, so I'm going to call this a keep, although I did have too much of it. After they had sent me a review copy of Season 1, I went all in with my own money for Season 2, and that was more than I needed. I didn't need that much Final Girl, so I did end up selling all of Season 2, actually including the North Pole Nightmare. And I only kept Season 1's content. Not because I necessarily think that Season 1 is better. I actually liked a lot of stuff in Season 2 better, but it was easier for me to sell the entire package of Season 2. So I'm going to call Final Girl a keep, even though the specific video that's being shown here, I don't have that set anymore. But yes, I don't think you need like 3 or 4 or 5 seasons of it. There's a lot of game in just one season to keep you going. So there you go. Only 2 games kept on the retail side and 1-ish maybe on the crowdfunding side. A bit of a rough month. But let's get to the contest results and see who our big winner is. And checking out our voting, Final Girl was the most confident choice. 79% of you got that one correct. And Tainted Grail was the second choice, although only 47% of people thought I would keep Kings of Ruin, so that definitely messed up a few brackets. And then what were the biggest spoilers? Deep Rock Galactic, a third of you thought I would keep, so that kept you out of the finals. Tamashii got 29%. White Castle got 19%, pretty big drop there. Hegemony, whoops, I thought I had the order right. That should have been above White Castle. That got 25%. The Witcher got 16%. And the lowest by far was Descent, Legends of the Dark. Only 6% of you thought I would keep that one. And we actually had quite a few people get it completely right, only guessing those 2 and none of the other ones. 20 of you. And the yellow ones are Patreon supporters, so they get double entries. So we end up with this bracket. I'm going to roll a D8 for the row and a D4 for the column and re-roll if I have to, and we'll see who our winner is. All right, we have a 8. No, we don't, because there isn't anybody in the 8th column or row. So let's try that again. We have an 8 again. This is going great, Mike. We have a 2. That's going to work. And a 4. So 2 for the row. 4, it is Wagencia, it looks like. So I will be sending you an email to see what you would like for your winnings. And thanks to everybody else who entered. Don't forget to go to the video description and you can vote for next month. And we'll see you for the next episode of Shelf Life.